Welcome learner, my name is Shibaji Debnath. In this tutorial, I will be talk about NestJS provider. Providers are fundamental concept in NestJS. Many of basic Nest classes may treat it as a provider. Services, repositories, factories, helpers, and so on. The main idea is provider is that can be injected as a dependency, and this dependency means object can create various relations with each other, and the functions wiring up these objects can largely delegated into the Nest real-time system. We already see last two videos where I describe how can we create a basic application, and also I talk about how can we create or manage routing options with the controllers. So in this tutorial we are actually talk about the services or providers, whatever we can say, because provider is a concept where we can inject so many classes to use for a particular module. Basically, when we are actually accessing any endpoint, so that endpoints are generating from the controller class. Okay, so every controller class have some particular view section. So this is the view section. View section means if we are create any kind of website designing, so that time we can create some views section, and that views called as a component. Okay, so there have so many things are actually involved with the controller section, because controllers managing routing sections, and also controllers managing so many other classes also. Like when we are actually create some business logics or any kind of database connection relations, and also if we are create any kind of data transactions uses in our application, also if we are create any kind of authentication system, so many things actually there which can be need to be used or apply for our application. So that all the things managing with the controllers, because controllers are created for the routing system. For that reason, controllers needs some extra supports with the other classes. So other classes can be provide some values, some other components. Like components means here actually if we are connecting with the databases, so that is also a component. If we are connecting with the messaging service like socket programming, so that is also a component. If we are created with the token sharing process, so that is also component. So many things are actually can be created behind the controllers, so that things actually called as a provider in this particular term. And this is the flowchart of the providers process. And how can we create the provider? So providers, when we are using, so first thing we need a service class, because in this time here actually create a service class that's called cat service, and here declare a object, cat object basically. And this cat object are have two type of process where we can create a cat. Actually we can create a new cat object, and there we can push some data. Also we can get all the data from the cat's array object. Okay, so this is the actually a very basic program where we can set and get the data through this process. Okay, this is the cat, and this cat actually a object which is are declared from the cat.service class. Okay, so cat.service class is a interface class where we are actually declaring some property names which can be uses in our application. So there have three property name, age, and breed. So these three type of process can be applied into the interface. Okay, and that interface are connected with the cat service class, and this cat service class are injected with the cat's controller section, and this cat's controller section are created the cat service object. This is the object, and this object are actually required the cat service class are referred this particular object. Okay, but as per software development process, when we are creating any kind of object, so that object need to be initiate to access these methods and property. When we want to access, so that time we need to be initiate this particular class where we are actually creating the object. Okay, but in this time we could not see any object instantiation, but we can get the data options from this section, and also we can get the data from the service class. We can set the data and also get the data from the controller section with the different URL. Okay, so this is the actually main process where are actually using the providers. Let's go for the coding. Now I am in my coding section, and in this coding section we already have a service class already created when we are creating a application. Okay, so this service class actually a dependency or provider class where we can get some data from this particular class. Okay, so this is the app service class, and this app service class are actually injected in this particular class. Last time when we are modified this controller class, so that time we are modified the method get hello method into home function. So this time I just calling the method get hello method, and this time we are getting this hello method. But this time when we are get the hello method, so that time we want to connect this app service class into this section. So how can we added this options? When we want to add this option, so definitely we need to be use the app service class for this purpose. But if we are created it like this way, if we are writing this particular method as a static, then it may solve the problem, because this time we get the data as a static and we can directly calling the object instantiate with the class name. We can do it for this particular purpose. Okay, so through this way we can also fix this problem. So when we are actually fix this problem, after that I want to see it is working or not, because we are get the data from this API. From this API we can get the data or not. So this time we are get hello world, so hello app service written here, and after that when we are actually calling this hello through the URL, so after that we want to see the output, we are actually getting the output or not. At this moment we need to be start my application. So for that reason I right click here, open in integrated terminal, and after that the terminal is open in this section, and then here we can use the npm command, npm run start the dev environment, and after that our environment is starting actually running now, and then we can open the our application into the browser. Okay, so after opening this we just simply go for hello, and now we can see the output hello app service option. Okay, so in these options I just simply calling the app service class with the static method. But this is the way where we can be connected through this process, but this is the actually not a good way to connecting this. Okay, so for that purpose we does not require this particular way. So when we are actually does not require this particular way, so definitely we need to be initiate this particular app service class first, and after then we can be use that particular class into our application. So when we want to create our application, and then we can initiate our application object like app service class like this, and when we are actually calling it, so then here we can call it app service through this way. Okay, if we are calling this way, then we can use the app service class like this. Actually I'm missing some spelling here, so this time this is the app service class. Okay, so this app service class are updated, and now we want to see our output have nothing to change anything in our app service output. Okay, so I think you can understood the process, how can be created all the process, and when we want to create any object first, and we must be include that object as a actually first time we are create a object reference through this way, and after that when we are create the reference, and after that we need to be initiate the object into this section. Okay, but one more thing, when we are actually using this way, so we does not require to add this particular class into this section at this moment. Okay, so if we are not injected this particular class into the main app module section, so nothing to worry to access your service class into your application, because this is the fundamental way where we are creating any object oriented programming process. But when we are creating any object oriented process, so that time we are create the object first. This is actually a class object are creating here, and after that that class are instantiate for this particular class, and after that we can access the functions through this object. Okay, so we already seen two type of process can be access our service class into our application. Okay, you already got it, the point how can we access the process. So when we are access this process directly this way, so this time we are actually using 3 line in this section. Okay, so here have some advantage or disadvantage both we have when we are actually calling this particular way. Okay, advantage is we did not require any injector class, any other sections we don't need to be added anywhere when we are actually calling directly other classes into our class. So this is the one where which can be used directly. If we are actually does not use this particular line, there don't have any problem because our output does not be changed, because we can get all the output properly from the basic class, and after that that class directly connected with the this way. This is the basic programming process which can be accessing in our application. Okay, this is the actually basic object oriented programming process which can be applied in our application. But when we are actually looking the documentations, so here is the documentation. Here we are actually want to create directly this way to create the object. Most of the times you can see when we are actually calling any service class, so that time we mostly calling the object like this app service class this way, and after that we are actually instantiate our object through this process. If we want to do this process, so then we can do it, but when we want to do it, so then we got so many problems here. Okay, so here we got so many problems because at this moment when I calling this object parameter into this particular class, but this particular parameter does not injected from anywhere. So when we are actually calling some parameter like this way, so this is the actually calling as a dependency injector or inversion of control, that is called short form is IOC, inversion of control. And this inversion of control means basically here we are calling the parameters, but when we are actually instantiate the controller object, so this particular controller object does not instantiate anywhere. We just simply added these controllers in this section as a parameter into the module class. Okay, so this particular class reference are already injected into the module section, but when this class are instantiate into this module function, so that module functions are required this particular constructor parameter, because we already know when we are calling a constructor parameter, so that time we need to be push this object first, and after that we can be access this whole objects here. So for that particular purpose we need to be instantiate anywhere this particular object or this particular instance. Okay, when this particular object are instantiate, then we can get access this particular functions. Okay, so we already injected this app controller into the module section, but we does not inject this particular service class. Okay, if we are not injected anywhere this particular service class, so how can we instantiate this particular controller? Here have no possibilities to instantiate this particular controllers. So for that reason here we get the problem. Okay, so this is the actually main problem where our injector are not declaring, and for that purpose we cannot be instantiate the app controller into our module. So when we want to inject it app service class into this section, and after that saving we can see the output. Okay, so we already got the output, because when we are actually injected here this particular service class, then we can get the instantiate options, because here we need a service class reference which is the app service class, and this app service object are instantiate with this particular provider class. Okay, and this is the provider dependency injection which can be applied to inject our data through this way. Okay, so we can get the options output here, and now we can apply some property like private data through some particular way, and this time it does not use any data types because this data, any kind of data can be used. So get datas, and after that we can simply use the get data option, and also we can use the add data, and we can set add data and get data options also set up. Now here we can calling the datas, and then we can use the get data, and after that we can get data from particular URL, and also we can put the set data options to the query. Okay, so these particular things are uses through this process. So last time we are already using the rapid API client, so this time we also added a new request option, and this time we just simply calling these two particular requests. One is the datas, and this time if we calling the datas, so this time does not have any data. But if we want to set data option, so into the app service class and data, and there we can put any data. Our URL will be same, call datas, and after that we just simply use the put method here, and then we can add the query. Query is name, and here we can send the value joy, and then we want to see the output. So this time we does not see any output because this particular URL are working data sending process. So here we can see another data which is actually required. Okay, also same thing, we can use some another name for Bijoy, and we can also send the data, and then we can get the another data from the another request. So here actually using two type of requests, and these two requests are actually passing the data through the different URL to the service class. Okay, so this is the actually main process where we can sharing our resources from the background, and that backgrounds are sharing the data through the service class. Okay, and this particular service class are registered here as a provider, and these providers are injected through this constructor. Okay, so this is the actually whole circle of the provider class, and maybe this provider class are created with various type of provider class can be created for the application development. And if we want to see how many type of classes can be created into our NestJS class, so for that purpose we just simply calling the nest syntax into the terminal section, and after that we can get so many library options, and after that we can get the semantics which is actually required, and here have so many type of classes can be created, and class configuration, controller, decorators, so many type of classes are actually here. So most of the provider class are working with the service, resource, resolver, provider, pipe, sometime middleware, interface, interceptor, guard, gateway, filter. This is actually process which can be used as a provider. Mostly sometimes we can use class also as a provider. Here I have so many class definitions I already have, and these classes can be used in our provider purpose. So this all the things actually I discuss about the service class and provider class, how can be use and how can be applying the whole process. I think you can enjoy the tutorial. If you are enjoying this tutorial, so I request you hit the like button on this video, and if you are new in my YouTube channel, so definitely subscribe my YouTube channel for latest update. Also press the bell icon for the get quick notifications when I publish any new video in my YouTube channel, and also you share this video with your friends who want to learn about this particular topics. And if you have any suggestions, any questions, so you can comment on my video. I definitely helping you. Okay, so I will be meet with you next learning topics with the next topic. Okay.